Today on Fresno State Focus, we talk with a woman who survived the tragic Las Vegas shooting that left 59 people dead.
Plus, President Trump touches down in Vegas to pay his respects to those whose lives were lost.
And President Castro opens up on the decision to end DACA, what that means for over 1,000 DACA students attending Fresno State. Fresno State Focus starts now.
Hello and welcome to Fresno State Focus. I'm Brittany Sosa.
And I'm Corey Stevens. The nation continues to mourn today for the innocent people killed in the horrific attack in Las Vegas Sunday night. 59 people were killed in the ambush, over 500 are hurt, and at least 40 are in critical condition. It's so hard to make sense of what started as a great night of music turned into a nightmare. Fresno's Cynthia Huerta lived that nightmare. She was at the concert. First of all, Cynthia, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
First of all, you okay?
Okay.
What was it like being at that concert?
To start with, it was wonderful. It started Friday and Saturday and went into Sunday, and it was just a lot of nice people having a really great time. It was a family event. There were little kids there and babies, and it was really a nice time.
Who were you at the concert with?
To start with, my husband, David, and I, and two other couples, Jeff and Jane Drake, and Susan and Mike Davis, and my friend Susan Lear and her fiance Russ. We were all together. Susan and Russ left early on Sunday, and my husband was called back to work for an emergency, so he left Sunday as well. So it was just the five of us that night.
And what was it like when you first heard noise?
Jason Aldean came out, and he was probably about into his fourth song, and we heard like the stage is that way. We were in the back, and we heard like pop, 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 pop over on the side, and I looked at my friend. I said, "That was gunfire." And she goes, no, I think it's fireworks. I'm like, no, that was gunfire. Let's go, let's go. And then it started again. I'm like, let's go. And I wasn't using nice words, but I was like, let's go, move it. And we just took off. And as soon as we got down to the end of the bleachers that we were on, we got separated.
Okay. Were you able to find them later? Were they okay?
They were okay. They ran. The scary thing was you didn't know where it was coming from. So in my head, I thought it was a lot of people because it was just constant, just a barrage of bullets flying. And in my opinion, it felt like somebody was in and coming at us. So I didn't want to run and then be trapped. And I kept thinking, what if somebody else is coming in the other way? So I went behind the bleachers and dived under the bleachers and stayed under there. And my friends, they ran over to, with the crowd out, they ran over to the Hooters casino, where a lot of people ran into there.
Well, thank you for being with us, Cynthia. So we've been talking with Cynthia Huerta, survivor of the Las Vegas shooting.
President Trump and the First Lady landed in Las Vegas this morning to share their condolences with the families, survivors, and many first responders who jumped into action. As soon as they got off the Air Force One, they met with Nevada governor, sheriff, and mayor of Las Vegas. They then headed out to meet with people who are still recovering in the hospital.
What I saw today is just an incredible tribute to professionalism, and what they have done is incredible. And you never want to see it again, that I can tell you. You know what, and the patience, the bravery. Some were very, very badly wounded, and they were badly wounded because they refused to leave. They wanted to help others because they saw people going down all over.
The president offered support and praises to the heroes and who risked their lives to save others, and congratulated the doctors and first responders who did such an incredible job.
An important deadline tomorrow is affecting hundreds of Fresno State DACA students. This is their last chance to get a 2-year extension on their status. Brenda Billingsley introduces us to a Fresno State student who is afraid of being deported to a country she never called home.
Nancy is one of many DACA students. She came to the U.S. at age 3 and has had 2 cultures morphed into one.
In my household, it was growing up speaking Spanish, and then I would go to school and I would try to perfect my English.
She thought she was just like the rest of her friends until she began to apply for college. That's when she discovered she wasn't a U.S. citizen.
So when it came up to the question about whether I'd be receiving financial aid or not, my counselor told me, you know, people like you don't go to college.
Many students might have given up, but for Nancy, it motivated her to go to college. Nancy is one of 1,200 DACA students at Fresno State. She's one of the lucky ones because she just received her DACA renewal, but there are many others who won't be able to renew their status after tomorrow.
We're completely in support of our students.
President Castro has come out in strong support for DACA students.
I am not accepting that the recent decision is going to have a long-term effect. I think that it is going to require Congress to act immediately, and we've been urging action to support our DACA students, to provide them with a pathway to citizenship.
For years, students and immigrants have been rallying in favor of the DREAM Act, which never passed. President Castro thinks the DREAM Act or something similar could be the answer, but Nancy says for many students right now, all they think about is the possibility of being deported.
It has brought a lot of DACA recipients into a state of mind of insecurity. They are fearful.
I know it can be risky for DACA students to speak out because of their situation, so we have to be the voice for DACA students.
Where does DACA stand now? It is in the hands of Congress. They will decide to either extend the program, end the program, or find a permanent solution to help protect DACA students long term. That is what many students like Nancy are hoping for. At Fresno State, I'm Brenda Billingsley for Fresno State Focus.
Living in this kind of limbo, it is hard for anyone, but for 1,200 DACA students in Fresno State who also have to take classes, midterms, and sometimes 2 or 3 jobs. Joining us today is Chicano Studies professor Luis Macias to help us put all this in perspective. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So being a part of this program, how did you come about that?
In terms of my research, I've been researching alongside undocumented students for several years now. DACA as a program came about from pressure from immigrant rights organizations led by students. They wanted to make sure that the 2008 presidential campaign promise from Barack Obama in terms of wanting him to live up to his promise of bringing forward Comprehensive Immigration Act. When Congress was unable to pass it in 2009, that's when a lot of pressure got put on this administration to find some sort of temporary relief, if not a permanent relief. And the option that was taken was DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which is a presidential executive action. The issue with that is that new administration could rescind the program, as we saw on September 5th of this year.
Okay, so the deadline is March 8th. What are you expecting or hoping to happen before then?
So the deadline for DACA applicants is March 5th. After March 5th, people are going to start falling out of status. DACA provided a 2-year deferral from deportation, meaning they had a work permit and they were not top priority for deportation. Okay. Once that is expired, once their work permit is no longer expired, right off the bat, people are unable to participate in the formal economy. So many students are going to be thrust back into informal jobs that are lower paying, perhaps more dangerous, longer hours, and less protection. In addition to that, outside of California, you have a lot of students that are relying on this work permit to classify them as in-state students, making grant access available, even though they're unable to get federal financial aid, some sort of local grants. And more than anything, this peace of mind that they are in the country without any sort of harm or worry that Immigration Customs Enforcement is going to knock down their door. One of the things that has yet to be resolved by this administration is promising that the DACA recipients that gave their information to the government so that they can enroll in the program, that they are not going to be sought out now that DACA is ending and becoming part of the deportation that this administration said they were going to ramp up.
Okay, I know this is putting so much stress on a lot of students. So is there anybody that they can talk to when they're going, because all this is happening?
Yes, so we at Fresno State have a Dream Resource Center, a Dream Success Center, and Dream Outreach Center. And that's the first place where I refer students to, because it's not enough to have good intentions, it's not enough to have a good heart. You need somebody that is trained in the social, emotional, and educational aspects of this experience. So this is where you can go for concrete answers from people that are trained in answering your questions about this.
Okay, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We were just speaking with Professor Macias, Chicano study teacher here at Fresno State. Congress has until March 8th or March 5th to decide the fate of the nation's 800,000 DACA students. California State University counselor Timothy White joined colleagues around the U.S. along with 23 CSU campuses to urge Congress to come up with a long-term solution for this program. White says DACA allowed thousands of academically qualified Californians to pursue their dreams at California State University campuses. He says the program is widely acknowledged as a strategic benefit to our state and our nation.
Coming up on Fresno State Focus.
Beer is back at the Bulldog football games. We'll see if Fresno State fans are welcoming the change. And Elizabeth, it's finally starting to feel like fall.
It is, but you know, around this time of year, it could get hot again. Don't pull out your sweaters just yet. A look at your weather when we get back.
Success. At Fresno State, it's no secret. It's discovering new ways to change our world. It's creating opportunities as diverse as our community itself. It's in the distinction of our graduates as they lead us into the future. Success is no secret at Fresno State. It's our mission.
This is our Fresno State, forming relationships and learning experiences that last a lifetime, making friends who are like family, learning from professors who treat us like family, and earning a degree to make a better future for our family. Engaging our alumni generation by generation by generation. This is our Fresno State. Welcome to the family.
I'm Elizabeth Carrillo. Behind me is the Fresno State Peace Garden outside of the Henry Madden Library. Tonight between 6 and 8, Fresno State President Castro will lead a ceremony promoting peace, ending violence. It's happening now to honor Gandhi's birthday 148 years ago. With the way our nation is right now, peace is certainly on the mind of many. It should be a beautiful night tonight. I'll show you how chilly it is. I'll show you how chilly it will be in a moment, but first let's check out the nation. A look at our nation's satellite. Over here in the middle, we have a lot of rain traveling up to the east coast. Over on the west coast, it's still going to be dry. Closer look at temperatures today. Currently, over in Stockton, it's going to be around 76. Down south, Visalia 74. Over in Fresno, 72. And tonight, temperatures are going to drop to Stockton, 47. Hanford's going to be 43, Visalia 44, and Fresno 51. And our weekly forecast, it's going to be sunshine across the board with a high of 90, the highest temperature on Saturday. So definitely if you're heading out to the fair this weekend, you want to dress lightly. That was a look at your weather report. I'm Elizabeth Carrillo.
This semester, Fresno State has 3 exciting changes coming to the campus. Fresno State students no longer have to worry about Amazon packages being stolen from their apartment complex or at home. There are new Amazon lockers on the center of the campus in the University Student Union. The USU Board of the Directors heard students' voices and brought the Amazon lockers to campus for a safe way to receive and return any packages.
I think it's fantastic. I think with our students, with especially having a lot of off-campus students that are rushed, they don't have a time to get home, packages get stolen, and sometimes you need something very quickly.
The Amazon lockers are called gauges. There are 100 slots and anyone in the community may use them. It's not just for students.
Beer is now being sold within walking distance of Bulldog Stadium for the first time since 2006. Crowds make their way to the north end of the stadium and file in lines throughout the game. Bulldog fan Kevin Garrett voices some concern over the decade-long return of alcohol in the stadium.
We need to think about lives and what damage it's doing, because alcohol does cause people to get arrested, right? They have DUIs, things like that. But here's what also I want you to think about, your families.
Joining me today to answer the questions is Vice President for Administration at Fresno State, Deborah A. Stone. Thank you for being here, Deborah.
Thank you.
So what went behind the decision to bring alcohol back to the Fresno State games?
Actually, this was a system-wide decision, and all 23 campuses were able to bring alcohol back at intercollegiate athletic events. There was a new Executive Order 1109 that was issued in July of 2017 that gave each campus president the ability to determine if that was something that they wanted to bring back as part of the intercollegiate athletic events. As you know, we had beer previously in Bulldog Stadium in our athletic venues. 2006 was the last year, so it's been approximately 11 years.
Okay, so how many of the 23 campuses that said they could bring it back, how many actually brought it back to their campuses?
I know a number of the campuses have, for example, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, I know San Jose State, San Diego State plays at Qualcomm, so if we had an intercollegiate athletic team playing at a sports event at a city or municipal venue that was already serving alcohol, there really was no change because this policy in the past was only applicable to university or auxiliary operated facilities.
And also, what went behind deciding whether to sell outside the campus or inside the stadium?
Well, when the executive order was issued by Chancellor White, we regrouped with our internal team and took a look at, okay, what would be, we want to make sure that we preserve the fan experience and making sure that it's a family-friendly environment. We do have a number of fans and community members who were very concerned when we couldn't purchase beer within the stadium. You could purchase it in the beer gardens, but you couldn't take it into the stadium to their seat. And so, there's always going to be probably different perspectives about whether we should be selling beer in the stadium, but that's why for this season, we were very conservative and only have the 2 beer garden areas. We're not selling it in the main concession stands, taking a lot of care and working with our concessionaire, Pardini's, to ensure, obviously, from the standpoint of IDing and wristbanding and ensuring, again, the 2 limit, but also making it available for those that are 21 and over, because that is part of the fan experience, especially when you go to other, NFL or NBA or MLB stadiums. So,
Well, thank you for speaking with us, Deborah.
The CSU system launched a statewide campaign to completely smoke-free on all campuses, on our campus actually. For Fresno State, this means the step closer to a clean air in the entire country. New signs are now up around campus with a straightforward message, urging students to help clear the air. Spots that used to be smoking areas are now peaceful study areas. Transfer student Kelly Isaac says it's great to be able to breathe easier around campus.
As an asthmatic student, it's nice to know that the air that I'm breathing is clean and I won't have to worry about trigger setting off my asthma. I kind of thought everywhere had a smoking ban, so finding out that they actually now it's official I think it's going to be very good for the environment and good for the individual student as well.
The no tobacco smoke or vapor policy went into the fall this fall semester. However, no one will get a ticket if they don't follow the rules. The CSU system hopes people will police themselves with respect to everybody on campus.
For some students, parking at Fresno State is a challenge semester after semester.
Is there anything that students can do to find a closer or quicker parking spot? I drove around the parking lots to look for an answer.
It is so hard to find parking on Fresno State campus between the hours of 8 a.m. and noon.
It was like 30 minutes to an hour.
Whether you have class during that time or you have some homework to catch up on in the library, parking is no joke during rush hour. What's a student to do? Chris Gonzalez watches people in the parking lot like a hawk to be able to try and find a good parking spot.
I'm just gonna chill for a second and let them just go to their spot. And here I am. And I'm just gonna wait, not make it look too obvious. You don't want to come off as a weirdo, I guess.
It's frustrating for students like Chris, who pay over $90 each semester for their parking passes. And if they can't find a spot, they wonder, what are they paying for?
Let's think of it like this. This piece of pie represents everyone who has an actual parking pass. And this slice here represents an actual parking spot. Now, 4 people have to share this actual parking spot. Let's face it, we can cut up a piece of pie, but we can't cut up an actual parking spot. So will a parking structure make better sense?
Blake Zonti is the ASI president who gets a lot of questions about parking and when more spots will be created.
The only issue is it costs money. So I know, because I brought it up before to the campus and said, hey, it'd be great to have a parking structure, but they've said, well, parking passes might go up because of that. So that's where we have to get creative as students and figure out how we can tackle the issue together and find a way to make it easier.
If students like Chris want more spots, those low prices will most likely go up.
Oh, look, there's someone already backing up right there. So it's a good spot.
If you would like to have a say about campus parking, visit your student representatives at the ASI office on the 4th floor of the USU.
A historic place in Fresno now has a new look.
The Fulton Mall is back in action, just like the old days. We'll show you the new look coming up.
And next in sports, Fresno State's Aaron Judge is the Yankees' home run hero. Stay tuned on Fresno State Focus.
got the bulldog spirit up in my head.
Up in my head.
Up in my head.
I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Up in my head to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. Got that bulldog spirit. Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. Down in my toes. Hey. Down in my toes to stay. I got that bulldog spirit. Up in my head. Deep in my heart. Down in my toes. I got that bulldog spirit. All over me. All over me to stay. I got that bulldog spirit.
Deep in my heart.
Deep in my heart. Deep in my heart. I got that bulldog spirit.
Welcome back. I'm Vanessa Romo with your sports report. Former Bulldog and current New York Yankee Aaron Judge is now setting the MLB record for the most home runs in a rookie season. Judge hit 2 home runs against the Kansas City Royals this past week, tying and breaking the 49 home run record set by Mark McGwire in 1987. Here's the call of that historic moment. Judge, playing in his first postseason game with the Yankees yesterday, has advanced to the next round. The team will be facing the Cleveland Indians tomorrow. Another former Bulldog is making headlines this week, but not the ones we like to see. Oakland Raiders quarterback Derek Carr is suffering from a transverse process fracture in his back after last Sunday's game against the Denver Broncos. He got hit in the back in the third quarter and needed help off the field. The Oakland Raiders head coach Jack Del Rio made a statement Monday saying Carr could be out for at least 2 weeks, maybe longer.
Big deal for every Raider fan out there right now.
The women's soccer team is improving its record as the team won its first Mountain West game of the season. On the road, the Dogs beat Colorado State 3-1. Colorado State was first on the board in the first half, but Fresno State was quick to counter back with 3 back-to-back goals. Fresno State women's soccer continues its road trip in New Mexico this Friday. The Dogs return home the following Friday, hosting UNLV at the Fresno State Soccer and Lacrosse Stadium. Speaking of winning, the Fresno State football team is riding high from the conference home opener, beating the Nevada Wolfpack 41-21 on Saturday. Making his first start of the season, quarterback Marcus McMaryion quickly created opportunities for his offense in the first half. McMaryion passed over 200 yards and threw for 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Keyshawn Johnson also scored big with 3 touchdowns in the first half, extending his touchdown receptions to 11. On the defensive side, the Dogs dominated, stopping all 3 of Nevada's 4th down attempts and getting 3 interceptions. The 20-point difference is the largest for Fresno State in a conference home opener since 2011. The Dogs will be back in action this Saturday at San Jose State. Finishing up the final home meet of the fall on Saturday, the Equestrian team fell to number 2 Georgia. Although we won't be seeing these ladies at home anytime soon, they still are preparing for their comeback. Joining us today is senior Western rider Rachel Williams. Thank you for being here, Rachel.
Thank you for having me.
So falling to number 2 Georgia 10-8 this past Saturday, how has your team prepared for your next competition?
Yeah, so going up against number 2 ranked Georgia was definitely a hard feat for us, but I think it does set the pace for the rest of the season that we're motivated to win, we want to win, and we're ready for the challenge. So now that we go on the road for the rest of our season semester, we're going up against all conference teams and going up against number 2 who's so highly well known and ranked and does so well. We know that we only fell by 2 points, so we know that we're ready to go against our conference meets and we're ready to win and we're ready to ride.
And how are you preparing for that? I know you're facing off South Dakota on October 21st. What are some things that we need to look forward to?
Well, looking forward to that. We did just win against South Dakota State on our own home turf. And yes, going away to South Dakota State on their home turf, on their own horses is definitely going to be a challenging meet, but I definitely think the girls are all capable of winning and we're all ready to ride and excel in the arena.
All right, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
We've been talking with senior equestrian Rachel Williams. Make sure to catch all the action this week as the dogs compete against Air Force, Nevada, and New Mexico. Back to you, Corey.
Fulton Mall used to be the go-to place in downtown Fresno. Then it became the do not go-to place of the city. Now it's the talk of the town again because Fulton Mall just got a huge facelift. Welcome to the rebirth of downtown Fresno. Cars are driving down Fulton Mall for the first time in 53 years. A long time coming for the brains behind the effort, Craig Sharton.
We did all the research to look around the country at every city that had taken out a pedestrian mall and put a street back through, and we found that 90% revitalize in less than 4 years.
This former downtown business owner says he wants downtown to once again be a destination place for people from all over the Central Valley. He wants to hear them say,
"Sweetheart, get in the truck. We're driving 45 minutes because I heard about this place and it is crazy."
And crazy how fast it happened once it got started. This time-lapse video shows what Fulton Mall looked like 15 months ago. And now, it's a thriving boulevard waiting for businesses to fill the 18 open vacancies. Many businesses down here at the Fulton Mall have been forced to close due to lack of business and construction. But there have been few that have been able to weather the storm. Take Los Panchos Mexican Restaurant, for example.
It's like baby steps, you know, it's going to take a little bit while.
Anna and Ramon de Alba own Los Panchos Mexican Restaurant. They've been here for 27 years. When the time came for Fulton Mall to begin construction, they dug in and decided to stay for the long haul. This restaurant is their only source of income, so closing down the restaurant during construction was not an option for the family.
I've been waiting so long for this and working so hard and seeing the whole construction for these 18 months. So yeah, we're very excited, yeah.
The mall is open right now to traffic, but a big grand opening is planned for Saturday, October 21st. Sharton tells me it's going to be a huge party for the whole community it's invited to.
And don't forget, today is the first day of the big Fresno Fair. The Fresno Fair has many exciting rides like roller coasters, prizes on the midway, tons of food, a new craft beer festival, camel rides, and of course, livestock. The fair runs through Sunday, October 15th. How do you feel about the fair?
I'm super excited, ready to
Excited.
get down there.
I've never been to the Fresno Fair.
I'm going today.
Hey! How
So
exciting.
you're excited.
That's exciting. Next week on Fresno State Focus, the fair is doing a ride safety check.
Plus, what is happening for homecoming week on campus.
Also, we take a look at campus renovations that could be finished by next semester.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.